Hello everyone and welcome back to the Coding Amateur. In the last video, we would have posted our site under construction page, and the only difference is that I would have transferred it to a subdomain instead of having it on the codingamateur.com as I would have done it last time. So right now it's on the tastebuds.thecodingamateur.com. So that's the only difference, but everything else that we would have done remains the same. So now that we have our site on the construction page up to let our customers know that we are working on our website, we need to start to develop our restaurant app. So we have a blank canvas. But before we start designing, there are a few things we need to get done. Okay? And while in a real world scenario, you would have to meet with your client and have a discussion on the requirements for the website and what their business strategy is. We don't have these constraints in this tutorial per se. There are some aspects that will be the same, but it would not be identical as sitting with a client. In this case, I would be my own client. I know what I would want the website to look like. And so in this video, we would not go through those aspects of the preliminary engagement when creating a website for a client, but we'll look at some of the things that you would want to do if you should have the opportunity to do so. So first off, I know what I know for this restaurant, I know the look and feel that I'm going for, and there are many different types of restaurant. I know the niche that I want to occupy. So what I would first do is look for the competitors within the same industry. As you would have seen from the site under construction page, it's a fine cuisine, fine dining, and it's just a vegan restaurant. Okay. So I need to get a feel for what persists within the industry. So I would generally look at restaurants within the same niche and see what they are doing. Now, this is something you can do even if you have a client. You must do your market research in order to advise the client based on the direction they should go. So you should see what your competitors are doing within the industry. All right. So what I would have done, I went to the world's 50 best restaurants and I looked at what they are doing on their website. So I would just go to a website, go to their website and check them out. So if I go here, look at what they are doing, and I would look at the different aspects. Website is simple, clean, and it promotes, the restaurant, contact information, and so on and so forth. So I would have done this a couple of times to get an idea, because you don't want to reinvent the wheel. At the same time, I'm not trying to clone any one of these websites. That would be copyright infringement, and that would be illegal. And I think that's illegal in all countries around the world. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to set out to create a project structure, and with the project structure, start modeling my data. Okay, so this is what I would have created based on my research, looking at the various restaurants and what they are doing. So for my homepage, this is the structure. I'm going to have the first, when you land at my page, you're going to see my signature dish. It's going to give you a feel for the skill level. and what you can expect from the restaurant. After that section, I'm going to showcase the restaurant, specifically the dining experience, the ambience, that, to win my customers over. Then I would display a couple of dishes that most clients purchase. And lastly, on the home page, I'll have a footer with the contact information. So the next question is, what data do I need in order to display these things on the home page, right? So I need to create the data. I need to structure the data. I need to determine how the data should look. So my data model was in order to bring the homepage to life, I would need to have my menu, because the signature dish is one of the menu items. So I would need to have a menu. I would also need to have information about the restaurant. So when I showcase the dining experience, I would need a picture of the restaurant and something brief to say about the restaurant and name. I would also need to determine which dishes are the popular dishes. So within my database, I'd have to create some way in which I could distinguish between the popular dishes and the regular ones. Also, I need to distinguish between which dish is my signature dish. So all that will be handled on the database side. And I need a footer with contact information. So I need to have the data in order to populate my homepage. So the first thing I believe we would need would be the menu items themselves. So we need a name. So what is the name of the dish? Alfredo pasta, Caesar salad. We need a name. We also need a price. We need an image, a brief description, a detailed description, and for now, I'm going to put signature option. And when we get to the backend, I'll show you how I'm going to create this option. So we have the signature option and we have the popular option, right? And that would be our menu items. It's a simple data model. Also for the home page, because I'm going to showcase the dining experience, I need to have information about the restaurant. So I'm creating a data model also for the restaurant. So that would be a name of the restaurant, description of the restaurant, an image, an address. I would like 2 phone numbers, 2 email addresses, a Facebook, Instagram link, and the opening hours. So this would be global information on the website, and it's going to reflect the information concerning the restaurant. So for my home page, this is the data that I would need. So I've already created the model. Okay, let's look at the About Us page. And as you see on the skeleton structure here right now, all I have really would be 4 pages: home, about, menu, and contact. Okay, so I'm just modeling the data for these 4. So I have the About Us page. This is the structure. When I look at the restaurants within the industry, simple About Us page, they share only the information that is necessary. So that's the same thing I'm going to do. So I'm just going to have an image, a bio about the restaurant, maybe how I started, and you could do the same as well with whatever you are doing. You feel free, if you are creating your own restaurant app and following this tutorial, or you may be creating an app for another industry, but you're looking at what I'm doing and you're mirroring that. Feel free to increase the amount of information, or you can change things up to suit your needs. Okay, so you don't have to stick to this hard and fast. It's just an idea and an example of how you would go about it, right? So I have an image, a bio, and then a meet the team section. So this is where I would display who are the chefs of that restaurant, and the sous chef or the manager or the restaurant manager or the different persons involved in bringing everything to life. All right. And for the about page, what data do I need? So I need a title, an image, a bio about the restaurant, and you would see here team relationship. Now, what is this? Instead of embedding the team within the about us data model, what I would want to do is create a separate data model for the team and create a collection for the team, because the team would have more than one person. This may be depending on the size of your restaurant or whatever industry you're creating a website for. The team might be large, and I don't want to embed all of that into the about us page. So I'm creating a separate collection for the team, and what I'm going to do is create a relationship between the about us page and the team, so that I could call the team model within the about us model. All right, so that's where you see here team relationship, and right below is the data model for the team. So that's it for the about page. Next page would be the contact page. And the contact page, I want to display the opening hours, media links, my location, which is the address, phone number, email address. Now, we don't have to create a data model for this because that is covered by the restaurant's data model. You would see here under the model, I have opening hours, I have the media links, I have the email, phone numbers, and address. Okay, so I would not have to recreate a model for this. Secondly, I want to have a menu page. It's going to be a simple page. All it would be is it would be like a gallery within a grid format, and I'm just going to have a picture of the menu item along with brief details and the price, and the customer could browse the menu and then select one of them. So this is what I would be doing with the menu. Again, I don't need to create a data model for this because that would be covered by our menu items data model. So I don't have to repeat that. Next, I would have the menu item details page. So when you go onto the menu page and you click on an item, it would go to another page giving you greater detail on what the meal or the item is all about. So I would just have an image of the item and a detailed description, which would include the price, some of the things that go along with the meal, and some options that you may want to have. All right, so that's it in a nutshell. So based on looking at the experience within the industry, looking at what they are doing, this is the inspiration that I got, and this is what I would like to do for the restaurant app. All right, and so I have this project structure and data model PSDM sheet, and from this I can begin creating my data model within the backend. All right, so let's go to our backend. So our backend would be tastebudcms, decodingamateur.com. All right, and I'm going to sign in. So just in case you're here for the first time and you have not looked at the videos that went before, this wouldn't make much sense. So what I would advise you to do if you're jumping on for the first time, go back to the previous videos and follow the tutorials before so that you would understand what I'm doing. Now, for the backend, I will be using Directus. Okay, and Directus sits on top of a PostgreSQL database. And I'm not going to go into any details into what the collections are and such, because I would have covered that in a previous video. Okay, so I would advise you, if you're on for the first time, pause this video, go back to the other videos and come up to scratch, and then you can jump back in. Now, I also want to say that I'm not going to get into SQL databases here in any detail. In these tutorials, I'm really showcasing the power of what I call the trend stack, which would be Tailwind to style the front end, React as the front end framework, Nginx as the web server, and you would see how I would have used some of them in the past videos, and then Docker and Directus. Okay, so that is the trend stack. So let's continue. Now that we have our project structure and data model, we need to create that within our backend. So you would see here data model, and we have no collection. So let's start with our first collection. And the first collection I would like to create is our menu items. So let's put that in menu items. Okay, now this is not going to be a singleton. A singleton represents, as the name suggests, a single what should I say, aspect of, or a single data item, or so that there are times when you want a collection where it will only have one entry. You do not have an array of items in that collection. So in such cases, you'd want to use a singleton. But for menu items, we will have many different items within the menu. And so we would need to create our data in an array where we have multiple items. Now that may not make sense at the beginning, but as we progress, I will show you what that would look like. So we are going to choose type. Now with SQL databases, you must have a primary key, and that's going to be the ID of the item. And we're going to choose how we want to, what type we want that ID to be, and how we will generate it. So we're going to choose generate a unique ID. And there are some optional fields. I want to check all of them. So these fields would show you some information that you can use to query the database. The status, who created it, when did they created it, if it was updated, and who updated it. So I'm just going to click save. Okay, and we have our menu items. I want to create an icon for it, so I'm just going to put in food, and we can choose this one. That should be good enough. Okay, and let's save that. All right, so I have a data model for my menu items, and if we come to content, you will see that I can create an item here, but I don't have anything as yet. So let's create some more fields within our collection. All right, so based on our project structure and data model, we need a name. All right, so we're going to use the input field. We're going to call this name. It's going to be a string. It's going to be required. It must have a name. This field cannot be empty. And this is the label on that input field, name. If you scroll down, you'll see continue in advanced field creation mode. We will click that. And I want to go to field, and I want to leave a note. And this is something that you should practice, because a developer may be, as a developer, you may create the structure for the backend for a client, but you will not be the one entering the information. It may have a data entry clerk. So notes on every field prompts the clerk, or informs the clerk on what type of data, well, not really type, sorry, but what data is expected by the backend. Now, I mean, for a name, it might be intuitive and easy to understand, but even if it's simple, the practice is a good one, because you may have fields that are not so intuitive, and a note could really help the data entry clerk or whoever is putting the information understand what they have to do. All right, so I'm just going to put this is the must have an S. This is the name of the menu item. All right, and that's it. Let's save. Okay, so you will notice that name would have a red star next to it, and that shows that this field is required. Also, we can, instead of having this input field full width, it could be half width. It makes the interface look much neater. All right, so our name, we would need a price. So let's create that price field, and instead of a string, it's going to be a decimal, simply because we're going to have 2 digits after the point. This is also going to be required, and we want to put price. Now let's go to our advanced field creation mode. 2 things we need to do here. Now you will notice that under type, we have decimal and we have a precision and scale. Now these 2 fields must be populated, and I'll explain why. Now the first input field here designates how many numbers will be present in the price, including the 2 digits after the point. So for instance, if the most expensive meal, let's say, would be $10.50, that would represent 4 digits. If the most expensive meal was $125.10, that would represent 5 digits. And let's say, just stretching the example, if a meal would cost $1,200.25, that would be 6 digits. Okay, so this first field would be the maximum amount of digits I would want in my price. Okay, so I'll put 6. The second field tells the Directus CMS how many digits of that 6 I want after the point. In this case, I would want 2. So I would have maximum of 4 digits before the point and a maximum of 2 digits after the point. And combined, it is 6 digits in all. Now, if this was an engineering app and your precision after the point would need maybe 4 digits after the point of 5, then you would adjust to suit your needs. Okay, so for our simple app, we need 6 digits in total for before the point, and we only need 2 digits after the point. Also, let's go to our note, and we will create a note. All right, so the price of the menu item. Okay, N would be good here. So the price of the menu item. All right, and we can save. Okay. All right, so our price is completed. It's half width again, and a red asterisk that says that it is required. All right, so we need an image. To have an image, we would need to create a file field to enter our image. So let's create that. We name that image, and this is going to be required as well. And let's go to our advanced field, and this is where we put an image of the menu item, and I would want to put a high resolution image, so it kind of informs the one entering the information that I don't want any low quality image for the app. All right, so we can save, and this would not be it would be a high resolution image of the menu item. Let's save that. Okay, and we can make this a half width. All right, next up, I would want to have a brief description, and this is based on the project structure and data model that we would have created earlier. And for a brief description, I will use the text area. It allows me to enter more information than the regular input. So this would be brief description, and you'll notice that the names of the various fields would be very it also tells me what I'm going to enter there. So your name should be very descriptive and describe clearly what the data is. Okay, this is also going to be required, and I'm going to name this brief description. Okay, we're going to ignore these values for now, and let's go to our advanced field, and we'll go to field and a brief description of the menu item. Okay, all right, a brief description of the menu item, and let's save this. Okay, this could be lengthy, so I will leave this at full width, and now we need a detailed description. Now for the detailed description, I will be using a WYSIWYG editor. WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get. Reason I'm using a WYSIWYG is because it gives us a little more it gives us a better way of styling our data. So within the CMS, so we could add bullets, we could have headings, we could, you know, make the data look a little more friendly and appealing. So that's why we're using a WYSIWYG editor, right? So I'm going to name this detailed description. Okay, this is also going to be required, and let's go to our advanced field. All right, and put a detailed description of the menu item. Okay. Okay. All right, and let's save that. All right, so what we need based on our requirements for the home page would be two selectors. How do we choose the signature dish from all our menu items, and how do we choose the popular dishes? Okay, now to do that, and we'll create the signature first, we're going to use under the selection a toggle, and what the toggle is actually it's a checkbox. I'm going to name this signature. All right, it's a boolean, so it's whether it's true or not, and the default value is going to be false. Now we are not going to check required value to be set on creation because we do not want it to be true when we create the option or when we create a menu item. We actually want it to be false, and then we will enable it if it's true or not. Okay, now what this does, from the database side, we can set if it's true. So in the menu item itself, we can set if it's true, meaning that this menu item is a signature dish. The front end will now look at the entire menu or the menu items, which would be in an array, and it can then sort or query the data and look for the item that would have the checkbox as being true for that signature dish. And based on that query, the front end could then select that menu item and display it as the signature dish. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So that would be our signature checkbox. So we can go to the advanced, let's go to field, and we could put a checkbox to select the signature dish. Okay, a checkbox to select the signature dish, and let's click save. All right, so we can make this a half width, And next up, we could create another field, and this one, another checkbox. This would allow us to select which dishes are our popular dishes. Okay. Now, in a more advanced setup, this would be automated where we could have the back end look at the meals that are ordered the most, and then the backend could automatically select which ones are the most popular. Okay, in this case, we are going to manually do that because this is a simple database setup, simple data model. So we're going to do it manually. And as before, we want the default value to be false, and it's not going to be required to be created. It's not going to be required to be set on the creation of a menu item. Okay, and let us go to our advanced field and let's put a note. So a checkbox to select the popular dishes. All right, and let's save that. It's not going to be required. Let's save that, and let us put that halfway. And that should be it for our menu items. We have our data model. Let's go to our content and let's see what that looks like. All right, so we have our fields available. Now we could start entering the data. Okay, and if you look, you would see our notes underneath each field, prompting us as to what is required. All right, so we can start putting in our data. Now, I want to highlight something. We have here status, and underneath that we have draft. The other options would be archive and publish, but for this tutorial, what we'll be most interested in right now would be published and draft. If we save this menu item and its status is draft, we don't want it to be propagated to the front end. The reason being is that the person who's entering the data entry clerk may enter the information, but they may need further approval by a supervisor. So they don't want to push this to the front end unless it is approved by either the manager or the supervisor. So in that case, the data entry clerk could put in the data, save it, and wait for approval. And then when it is ready, it can then be published. All right. Now, for this to work in the way that I just described, we have to make some adjustments to our collection. All right. So we need to go back to our data model. Not data model, sorry. We need to go back to our settings panel, and we want to go into our access policies. So first of all, to make our collection or the information available to those who come on our sites, we have to tell the CMS that it's going to be public. So we're going to add a collection, and you'll see here menu items. So if I click on menu items, you'll notice that I can create, read, update, delete, and share. This is the permissions that I would be given to users or my clients that come onto the website. Okay, so I don't want them to be able to create anything. I don't want them to be able to update or delete or share. All I would like my clients to do would be to consume the data or read. All right, so I'll give them all access to read. Okay. So we have the read data. Okay, so it means that I have given permission so that the clients that come to the website can view the information, but they cannot manipulate the data. But we need to go a little further than that. We need to go to use custom. So clicking on read, we go to use custom, and we want to go to this rule here, item permissions, and we want to go to the rule, and we want to click add filter, and the filter we want to create would be status. And under this filter, we would click on select and we want to click publish. Now, what is this saying? This is saying that the item would only be published if it has a status of published. Let me say that another way. The item would only be available to be displayed on the front end if its status is published. And that's what we're doing here. So now our draft and publish status is active. All right. So on a menu creation item, if we leave it as draft, it will not be visible in our front end, so that if we enter anything here, it would not be shown to our clients on the front end or our customers. However, if we do publish it, then it would be available. So I'm going to discard the changes for now. So we have created our data model for menu items. Now, this is the way in which you would create all the other data models. We have the restaurant data model, the about page data model. Okay, so based on the project structure and the data model, I encourage you now to create the other data models. And when we come back in the next video, we will continue to work on our backend in preparing the data to be consumed by the front end. So I hope this video is informative and interesting. So enjoy creating the other data models, and I will see you in the next video.